Parents, this segment comes with a warning. Clear your young children out of the room because this is PG rated. But it's time for some real talk about the magical creatures our children love.
You know, Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, Easter Bunny, and so many more. Is it lying to your kids when we encourage them to believe? That's the question. Some people suggest that telling these stories might affect children's trust in their parents when they find out the truth. What should you do as a parent, and when should you break the news?
All right, so we need some guidance by a professional, right? So we're joined with by psychiatrist and author Dr. Erin Amato. You have some good tips for us. What should we do as parents? Because we don't know anything.
We don't know anything. That's not true.
We know
some things.
We don't know what to do.
Hi, Dr. Amato.
Well, hello, thanks for having me. This is one of those situations that there are not always cut and dry answers, and kids don't come with an instruction manual to know exactly what to say. But I think when it comes to, you know, these mythical figures like Santa or the Easter Bunny, that every child is different, and there's no set time in terms of when it might be time to tell them, if you have been following these traditions, that they may not be true. So you really have to kind of know your child and pace things in according to when they are maybe starting to show some skepticism or ask some questions. If that's starting to happen, it's probably time to be truthful about what's been going on behind the scenes.
Dr. Amato, before we get to the when is the time to say something and how do you say it, just the idea of, should you engage in the magic of it, or should you just be 100% honest from the beginning and not even have them go down this path of, you know, their imagination?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really up to each family to decide. But I grew up with Santa, Easter Bunny. It's something we've done in our household. I think it is a fun part of the magic of the holidays. And let's face it, in this world, there aren't a lot of things that are magical or mysterious anymore. So it is fun, I think, for kids to have that window where they have a chance to believe something fun, they're receiving gifts. And then once kids do reach the age where they know what's happening behind the scenes, it gives them an opportunity to maybe be in on the secret and to help perpetuate the magic for younger siblings or friends or neighbors.
What's really hard, though, is when they hear it from someone else, right? That's not their own parent. So that's a whole nother thing you have to really work around. How do you suggest telling your child? You mentioned when they start asking questions, you should be honest with them. But what if they are still believing and then they hear it in other channels?
Yeah, I think that opens up an opportunity to ask them what they think, because maybe they do have questions. And so to just ask them what they heard, what they think, maybe talk to them about just the magic behind the holidays. But in our schools, whether we're talking about friend groups or in schools, there are a lot of diverse families and religious cultures and traditions. And so our kids are bound to hear that there are friends or families that don't necessarily believe or follow these traditions. So I think it opens up an opportunity for conversation. And again, just being very mindful about where your child seems to be developmentally. If they are of an age where they seem to really kind of be seeing the differences between imagination or fantasy and reality, then they're probably ready for that conversation. And there was a study done in 2019 by a House survey that they looked at 4,500 U.S. households, and the average age of kids not believing in Santa is around 8.4 years old. So that means some are younger, some are older, but maybe that gives parents a general guide of when that conversation should probably happen.
I did my own unofficial Instagram poll just to see what people who, this is just people who follow me, had to say. And a great majority of them said that they think kids should, engage in the magic of what is, because childhood is so limited and the real world isn't a pretty place to begin with. So why would you want to expose them to reality sooner? What it sounds like you're saying is let the child lead the way. And when they do start asking those questions and it's harder to engage in the myth, then you can kind of, break away from that and be more honest about it, is what I'm taking away from you.
Yes, and I know that some people worry about maybe this is traumatizing for kids to find out that Santa is not real. And I think traumatizing would be a very strong word. Disappointing, yes. Many of us have had that experience of when we found that out ourselves. But, you know, disappointment happens. That is a normal part of life and of childhood. And that opens up an opportunity then for parents to talk to their kids about their feelings of disappointment and how to deal with those. And that's something that helps to build emotional resilience.
And real quickly, you're not scarring your child, right, by telling them to believe when they're young and then later kind of bursting their bubble, right?
There's no evidence that I've ever found that it's really scarring your kids. And in the almost 20 years that I've been practicing psychiatry and have worked with thousands of kids, parents, adults, I've never once had a patient tell me that the source of their mood disorder or their trauma was finding out that Santa wasn't real.
Right.
So
Perfect.
I hope that reassures people.
No, that's good. That's good to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we feel much better. Thank you so much, Dr. Erin Amato. That's such great tips, and it'll be useful for us in the future. Thanks.
Thank
We'll be
you.
right back.